1. Hello, my name is Alice. The guidance for umpires for the 2015 World 8-Ball Rules. Should any guidance contained herein conflict with the instructions of a senior referee, the instructions of the head adjudicator shall take precedence. Guidance number 1. Equipment, Rule B. Players may not use equipment or accessory items for purposes, or in a manner, other than for which the items were intended. A rest should be provided as part of in-house equipment. Most venues will also supply other forms of mechanical bridge, for example spider, swan neck. However, if these are not available, no allowances should be made. Guidance number 2. Definitions, Rule C. The word striking means making contact between the cue tip and a ball. Guidance number 3. Playing from balk, Rule E. Although it is the duty of the referee to recover the cue ball following an in-off, a player will not be penalized for performing this duty. If the player recovers the cue ball, or the player is preventing the referee from recovering the cue ball, timing will commence from the point the cue ball reaches the trough. At this point called time running. When a player commits a foul with the cue ball in hand. If the foul is made before the cue ball is placed on the table, the opponent has 2 visits, ball in hand. If the foul has been made after the ball has been placed on the table, then the opponent must play from where the cue ball lies, whether in or out of balk, unless foul snookered. It is not a foul for a player to use the cue to reposition the cue ball in balk, when the cue ball is in hand. However, if the tip of the cue touches the cue ball during such a maneuver, a standard foul will be called, for failing to perform a legal shot. However, if this happens prior to the break, a foul break will be called, thereby allowing the opponent to reposition the cue ball. Guidance number 4. The break, Rule F. The time allowed rule applies to the break shot. See Section 8. Note: for the purposes of player in control, the frame is not deemed started until the cue ball is struck on the break shot. However, if the break shot is not played within the time allowed, then a non-standard time foul will be awarded. The referee should ensure that both players are present. Should the breaking player wish to check the rack, they must do so before the referee hands the cue ball and calls time running. Once time running has been called, a timeout will not normally be granted. Guidance number 4.1. Lag for break. If competition or tournament rules require a lag for break, then the following procedure should be used. Each player should use balls of equal size and weight. These would preferably be the only 2 balls on the table. With the balls in balk, one player to the left and one to the right of the table, the balls are struck simultaneously to the foot cushion and back to the balk end of the table. The player whose ball is the closest to the innermost edge of the balk cushion wins the lag. The lagged ball must contact the foot cushion at least once. Other cushion contacts are immaterial, except as prohibited below. It is an automatic loss of the lag if 1. The ball crosses into the opponent's half of the table. 2. The ball fails to contact the foot cushion. 3. The ball drops into a pocket. 4. The ball jumps the table. 5. The ball touches the long cushion. 6. The ball rests within the corner pocket and past the nose of the head cushion, or 7. The ball contacts the foot cushion more than once. If both players violate automatic loss lag rules, or if the referee is unable to determine which ball is closer, the lag is a tie and is replayed. If one player strikes the ball, the other player has to strike his ball before the opponent's ball reaches the foot cushion in order to have a simultaneous lag. If this is not the case and the referee feels that the player who played second wanted to get an advantage out of that, then the lag has to be replayed. Guidance number 4.2. Restarted frame. A restarted frame caused by a stalemate will be replayed with the player who made the legal break in that frame breaking again. The player will break with 1 visit, even if the player originally started with 2 visits. The exception to this is when a frame is re-racked because of a void break. Guidance number 4.3. Void break. A void break does not result in a restart as defined above. When the 8-ball is potted from the break shot, all aspects of the break are ignored, except if a breach of the spirit of the game occurred, and the break will be taken again with no penalty. As soon as the black ball falls, the referee will call void break and both the object balls and the cue ball may be gathered for the re-rack. There is no need to wait for all balls to stop moving. If the player broke with 2 visits, again the player will break with 2 visits. Guidance number 5. Legal shot, Rule G. If a player plays a shot that causes a ball to enter a pocket and jump out, without making contact with the cushion, then no penalty for failing to hit a cushion will apply. For the purposes of the legal shot rule, determining if a ball has hit a cushion, the back of the pocket will count as a cushion. If a player plays into a ball touching a cushion, and that ball comes away from the cushion and returns to the same cushion, without touching another object ball, then the shot is a foul. However, if that ball comes away from the cushion, hits another object ball, and returns to the original cushion, then the shot is legal. Simultaneous initial contact between a ball on, and a ball not on, is not a foul. If a player plays into a ball touching a cushion, and the cue ball simultaneously contacts the ball on and the cushion, a legal shot has not been completed. Guidance number 6. Total snooker, legal shot rule G3B. The definition of a snooker does not apply to a total snooker. If a shot is not preceded by a foul, and a player asks the referee for a snooker, the referee should interpret this as if the player were asking for a total snooker. The call, if awarded, should be total snooker, to make it clear that a total snooker has been awarded. Guidance number 7. Deciding colors, Rule H. During an open table, the 8 ball cannot be used as a ball on, unless nominated after a foul snooker. A referee should not request nomination from a player as this could be interpreted as coaching. Players are normally advised of playing groups once and then afterwards only if asked directly by the player in control. Guidance number 8. Timer allowed, Rule I. Players have 30 seconds to play their shot, from the 30 seconds indication. This includes the break shot. Guidance number 8.1. Timeout. If a player plays a shot while timeout has been called, for example when a referee is away from the table getting a rest, it is a standard foul penalized unit Dirk for playing out of turn. Guidance number 8.2. Granting a timeout. Timeout may be called at the referee's discretion. For example, player requesting a rest, which is not immediately available. Something obstructing the player. Player needs to leave the playing area very urgently. Referee making a close snooker, total snooker or touching ball decision. Player lost a contact lens. Player fastening shoelaces. Guidance number 8.3. Refusing a timeout. The following are examples of when timeout should not be called. Any telephone call. Player needs to visit WC. Player can go before or after a frame with the permission of the referee. Fetching a drink from an area away from the table. Looking for a cigarette or lighter away from the table. Searching for chalk. Guidance number 9. Removed. Guidance number 10. Standard fouls. Guidance number 10.1. Playing out of turn, Rule K4. A player who plays a shot immediately after playing a foul or immediately after the referee has called a foul on that player, has played out of turn. In other circumstances, the player should be penalized flat or K1 touching the table when not in control of the frame before a shot is played. Should the referee miss this call and a shot is played, then K4 will apply. Exception C11. Breaching the spirit of the game. Playing a shot when a timeout is in force. See 8.1 Timeout. Guidance number 10.2. Cigarettes or beverages, Rule K9. For the purposes of this rule, the word cigarette should be considered generic, encompassing cigars, cheroots, e-cigarettes and pipes. A cigarette contained in a packet, which protrudes from a breast pocket, does not constitute a foul. A cigarette placed behind the ear will constitute a foul if entering the space above the table. Guidance number 10.3. Touching the table, Rule K10. If a player touches the table in appreciation or frustration of a good shot and it is obvious the player's opponent is about to lose control of the table, i.e. the balls are almost at rest and nothing will be pocketed, a foul should not be called. However, the referee should remind players to stay away from the table until all balls have come to rest. Guidance number 10.4. Coaching, Rule K12. For any event administered by the EPA, the following first and final warning will be given at the commencement of a day's play as a block warning to all players and spectators. Good morning/afternoon/evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is and I am the senior referee for this event. In accordance with the rules, this is the first and final warning for coaching. Any words or action deemed as coaching by a referee will be penalized by a standard foul, 2 visits. This includes using a mobile phone whilst in the arena. Coaching of any sort, even coaching that prevented a loss of frame foul being committed, can only be penalized via a standard foul, and then only if the warning has been issued. In doubles, talking between partners is allowed from the point balls stop moving at the end of a partner's turn, throughout the opponent's turn, and until the cue ball is struck at the beginning of the other partner's turn. However, only the player whose turn it is allowed to touch the table, Rule K10. Guidance number 10.5. Jump shot, Rule K22. The cue ball leaving the bed of the table and making first contact with the reverse side of an object ball, that it would have struck had it not left the table on an otherwise identical shot, is not a jump shot. If the cue ball leaves the bed of the table, jumps over an object ball, hits the cushion, and returns to make first contact with that object ball, then a jump shot has been played. Guidance number 11. Loss of frame fouls, Rule M. M5. Deliberately causing any ball or balls to be moved in a manner other than that which may result from playing a normal shot. A player picking the cue ball off the surface of the table before dropping into a pocket was guilty of a serious foul. It is now loss of frame. M6. Deliberately striking the cue ball with other than the tip of the cue. In the situation where a player taps the cue ball with the shaft of the cue or ferrule in order to give a foul without moving the cue ball was guilty of a serious foul. It is now loss of frame. M7. Deliberately interfering, by word or action, so as to disrupt an opponent's play was guilty of a serious foul. It is now loss of frame. M8. Points that will be classified as breaching the spirit of the gamer. Foul language. Player throwing cue around. Arguing with an opponent, spectator or referee. Continuously disagreeing with the referee's decision and/or ruling. Repeatedly marking the table, Rule U2. Knowingly and intentionally playing out of turn. Player, or player's partner in doubles, breaking down, or putting away, cue. This does not apply to putting away a breaking cue. Guidance number 12. Snookers, Rule O. It is important to remember that a snooker is completely different to a total snooker, in both definition and application. The definition of a snooker is only applicable following a foul. When assessing a snooker, the distance between object ball and cue ball is important. When the cue ball and object ball are a table length apart, the points of finest cut are almost the extreme sides of the object ball. As the distance between the balls decrease, the points of finest cut become closer together. When the two balls are touching, the 2 points of finest contact are the same point. Hence a player cannot be snookered on a touching ball. Guidance number 13. Foul snooker, Rule P. If a player has been awarded a foul snooker, and the player picks up the ball, it is a standard foul. Refer Rule K21. The referee must retrieve the cue ball. The opponent comes to the table with cue ball in hand. Guidance number 14.1. Assessing a snooker in balk, Rule E. All positions for the cue ball in balk must be examined. This includes being able to place the cue ball in the jaws of a pocket, but not touching a ball on, or being able to place the cue ball in the middle of a cluster of balls. A referee should not attempt to place the cue ball into such positions. The fact that it could be done is enough to deny a snooker. Guidance number 14.2. Nomination of free ball, Rule P. Consider the following. A player is on yellows, and has been awarded a foul snooker. The player nominates a ball by pointing at a group of red and yellow balls. While the referee is trying to figure out which ball was nominated, the player gets down and plays a shot at that group of balls that results in the cue ball hitting a red ball on the first impact. In this situation, the player should have waited for the referee to confirm the nomination, by pointing to the nominated ball. The player has committed a standard foul. Guidance number 15. Touching balls. Rule R. When the cue ball is touching two or more object balls, and at least one is a ball on, so long as the player plays away from at least one ball on, the player may play into any of the other touching balls without penalty. This also applies to an open table, where both sets of colored object balls are on. For example, if the cue ball is touching a red and the 8 ball, the player may play away from the red and into the 8 ball. Guidance number 16. Balls falling without being hit. Rule T. The instant that the referee has determined that a shot is over, time will be started. Any subsequent ball falling, no matter how close to time starting, will be treated as falling without being hit, and it shall be replaced where it was prior to falling. Only the fallen ball will be replaced even if other balls were moving. Exception: if it is absolutely clear a moving ball would have struck the ball that fell, the fallen ball is replaced also. All other balls are restored to the positions before the shot was played. The same player will then play again without penalty. The player may decide to play a different shot. If a ball falls in without being hit, timing shall be restarted when the balls have been replaced. Guidance number 17. Interference. Rule U. Guidance number 17.1. Replacing balls. Rule U1. The decision where to replace balls lies only with the referee. In some circumstances the referee may choose to ask advice regarding the position of balls, but the final decision must lie with the referee. No matter how widely balls are scattered, the referee will still replace them, to the satisfaction of the referee. There is no provision for a re-rack because of outside interference. Guidance number 17.2. Chalk on the table. Rule U2. The referee should always ensure that chalk is removed. It is only if the referee believes that chalk, or other foreign matter, is being used to mark the table that the referee shall issue a verbal warning. 3 warnings in the same frame will result in loss of frame. Guidance number 18. Basic duties of the referee. Guidance number 18.1. Objective. The referee should ensure the game is played according to the rules, and to announce shots in accordance with the calling procedure, for the benefit of both the players and the spectators. The referee will take whatever action is necessary to ensure that the rules are observed. The referee may, as appropriate, issue warnings, call on a senior referee, abandon the game, or in extreme circumstances award frame or game away. Guidance number 18.2. Positioning of the referee. The referee will be in such a position that a clear view of the table and player is available, without obstruction or distraction to the player, also bearing spectators in mind. Most occasions will allow a referee to change position after every shot. This opportunity should be taken, and will have 3 benefits. The best view possible. Will not obstruct the view of the same spectators. Continual movement will increase the alertness of a referee. Guidance number 18.3. Duties and positioning of the timekeeper. In most cases a separate timekeeper will be static, and be in such a position that a clear view of the table is available. It may be necessary to move, particularly if 60 seconds is approaching and the view is obstructed by the player in control or by the other referee. In most situations timing will commence from when the timekeeper sees all the balls stop moving. However, following an in-off time starts when the other referee calls time running. Most stopwatches require 3 clicks, the first to stop, the second to reset and the third to start. Timing can be more accurate if the first 2 clicks are performed while the balls are still moving. As soon as the balls stop moving, only the last click need be performed. Guidance number 18.4. Preparing a table. For the side cushions and clockwise for the end cushions. However, some tables may differ. The direction of the nap can be determined by lightly brushing fingers on the cloth in both directions. Remove bad dust spots by gently flicking the brush in the opposite direction too. Brush the cushions in the direction of the nap. This is normally from the baulk end the nap. Brush table in the direction of the nap. Iron the table in the direction of the nap. If no iron is available, turn the brush upside down and forcefully push brush up the table. Then brush again. Guidance number 19. Further duties of the referee. In the event of a player refusing to accept a decision, then the referee will abandon the game, reporting the facts to the governing body concerned, for example tournament director, competition organizer. The player who wins the toss will have the choice of first break. If a player has been awarded frames at the start of a match, for example for late arrival, the choice of break commences from the first frame to be played. It is not backdated to the first frame on the score sheet. In a doubles match the break will also alternate between partners. Once the order of play has been determined during the first turn of each pair, that playing order shall remain for the duration of the match. Where the cue ball is touching any object ball and in playing away, this object ball moves by virtue of settling into a hollow or similar fold of the table, then it is not a foul. If the table is in poor condition, whenever any balls are touching the cue ball, it should avoid any disagreements if it is called touching by the referee. Guidance number 20. Guidance for walkabout refereeing. Mobility, move from table to table, watching out for tight situations. Know which tables are in the allocated zone and cover all the allocated tables. If a walkabout referee witnesses an incorrect decision by a table referee, the call should be overruled. A walkabout referee should know the result sheet system in use, and be able to explain to competitors as required. Ensure the time between frames is kept to a minimum to keep the competition flowing. This is particularly important during team matches, where re-racking of balls between frames, and getting the next players to table are points that may need consideration. Keep senior referee, or organizer, informed at all times of unusual events that may develop. For example, a match in your allocated region may be progressing slowly and an adjacent table is spare. Be aware of the required player dress code. If in doubt, alert the senior referee, who will take any action necessary, normally reporting it to the tournament director. If the senior referee is asked for, find the senior referee, then advise the senior referee of the situation and your decision away from table, before returning to table. Guidance number 21. Correcting mistakes. Do not be afraid of admitting mistakes and correcting them. For example, a player has 2 visits, and the referee forgets to call second visit at the end of the first visit. Player moves away from the table and player B touches the table. Player B cannot be penalized. If a referee makes no call at the end of a visit, it is reasonable for a player to assume it is also the end of the turn. The referee has made a mistake by forgetting to call second visit and player should return to the table on second visit. Guidance number 22. Suggested equipment. Ball marker. 2 coins could be used if a ball marker is not available. Paper and pen. Coin, with heads and tails. Spare cue ball for assessing tight total snookers and snookers. It is a good idea to remove the spare cue ball before announcing the decision, thereby preventing unnecessary questioning of the decision. Spare stopwatch. Guidance number 23. Interpreting a player's call. Some calls a player makes are not strictly correct, but it should be obvious to a referee when taking the situation into account what the player means. This is particularly important when a language barrier exists. Guidance number 24. Miscellaneous. 1. A referee should not submit to unnecessary requests for balls to be cleaned. Never attempt to lift a ball for cleaning if it is in a crucial position. 2. A referee should never drink alcohol until stood down at the end of the day. Cigarettes should not be smoked while the referee is on the floor. 3. Timekeeping is important when returning for breaks. A referee will normally be asked to report to the senior referee when relieved, or when returning from a break, or both. A 15-minute break period does not mean 15 minutes away from the table. There will always be a certain changeover time, thus reducing 15 minutes to possibly 13 minutes. Remember, if you are late back from a break, it is your colleagues that suffer. 4. A referee should always know what time they are required for the start of day briefing. 5. Some tournament directors will have additional rules that complement the World 8-ball playing rules, examples being slow play, determination of break, dress code. If such rules exist, the senior referee will advise. Guidance number 25. Final note. This guidance should not be considered exhaustive. A referee should not be afraid to ask a head adjudicator, no matter how trivial the question. Asking a question will instill confidence in both the referee and the head adjudicator. Copyright. This guidance has been produced in association with the English Pool Referees Association. The World 8-Ball Pool rules are copyright of the World 8-Ball Pool Federation. This video is copyright of the Australian 8-Ball Federation. Full documentation on the World 8-Ball Pool rules can be found on our website www.8ballumpire.com.au.